The new weapons in Battlefield 2042 Season 4 are extremely good. Pretty much across the board, they're shifting up the game's meta. If you're not using the Season 4 weapons now, then you are missing out, as there's almost certainly going to be some nerfs and balances coming soon. From the insanely powerful new LMG, the crazy clutch kill sawed-off shotgun sidearm, to the suppressed assault rifle that can ruin everyone in medium range, there's a lot to pick from and get properly set up. Today I want to go over these new weapons, what they're good at doing, how to set them up, and I also want to discuss the CAV Brawler and the SPH Explosive Launcher. Stick around for those details right after a word from today's sponsor. Speaking from personal experience as a YouTuber and father, finding time in the day to do meal prep is challenging. Staying healthy, make food that tastes good enough so my kids will eat it, and doing it in as little time as possible is extremely challenging. However, today's sponsor has completely changed this for me. Factor delivers fresh, never frozen meals right to your door on a schedule of your choosing. They have a rotating weekly menu with 34 chef-prepared meals and over 45 add-on options like these fruit smoothies. And Factor's meals aren't your typical frozen food aisle stuff. They're handcrafted, never frozen, restaurant-quality recipes designed to be flavorful, nutritious, and appealing to all ages. I've made them a part of my weekly routine and just love them. All you have to do is pop Factor meals into the microwave and they're ready to serve in minutes. Factor will custom build your order based on food preferences and your meal history. I can't recommend them enough. Try Factor today. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code LEVELCAP50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That's factor75.com or click the link below and use code LEVELCAP50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Alright, let's get into these new weapons. Why don't we start off with the last Battle Pass weapon unlock at rank 40, and that is the RM68 Assault Rifle, a new medium and long range powerhouse. Its best feature is a custom suppressor that keeps you off the minimap at long range and will stick with the weapon even when you switch over to the short barrel. Now for the attachments, I like to run with the short barrel, new laser sight, and standard issue extended mags. Although the close combat mag is very good, just keep it for backup if you know that you're going to be going for a CQB fight on an objective. The 4-shot kill range of this weapon is insane. It goes out very far, plus staying off the minimap is crazy useful. It's arguably one of the new best assault rifles, aside from the fact that it is limited to a 30-round magazine. And this does hurt its multi-kill potential a bit, so that is a trade-off with the weapon. But I think most players would agree that for at least medium range fights, this is totally worth it. The always suppressed element is insanely useful as well, and although you can technically swap out the integrated suppressor for some other attachment on the barrel, there doesn't really seem to be any reason to do so. And despite it losing some versatility points for its 30-round mag capacity, it's still probably the best medium range assault rifle at the moment, and that's not to say that it can't handle itself in close quarters. It absolutely can. Now next up is the new RPT-31 light machine gun unlocked at Battle Pass rank 22. This one is pretty much at the moment inarguably the new meta machine gun. Fast rate of fire, low recoil, tons of ammo, and oddly good at long range as well. This weapon is probably getting nerfed at some point, as it's just fantastic across the board and kind of invalidates some of the other LMG choices. Also, DICE described it as a slow firing, heavy hitting weapon, which is kind of funny considering that you can outfit it to be one of the fastest firing machine guns in the game. I like to run it with the short barrel for that faster rate of fire, the new laser sight or light grip most of the time, high powered extended mags, and usually a 2x optic or whatever you're in the mood for. The high powered extended rounds for this gun make it effective at all ranges pretty much, and you can just mow people down at ranges that pretty much neither you nor them would expect you to be able to do so. And awkwardly, DICE even put out another patch that buffed this weapon further, so it's just pretty much the complete package at this point. Now the larger standard issue box mag is also a good backup and will definitely boost your rate of fire by 100 rounds per minute, and if you're walking into nothing but close quarter combat, you'll probably want to swap out to these rounds instead. That is, if you have time to do so, as the reload on belt-fed machine guns is pretty long. And really, it doesn't even matter what class that you enjoy playing the most. The RPT-31 is going to be a good choice for all occasions. Get some fun recon flanks, zip up to somewhere with McKay and Rain lead, be a team player with Falk, or set up some really good defenses with Irish and keep your enemies totally suppressed. DICE certainly hasn't been able to make machine guns feel much different from the assault rifles in this game, which they stated was actually a goal of theirs. Now, one of the weapons of this season that I found to be incredibly useful is the new Super 500 pump action sawed-off shotgun that can be used as your sidearm. It's unlocked at Battle Pass rank 34, and honestly, it feels better than some of the primary pump action shotguns. It can one-shot kill in close quarters, and if you only ever swap to it while you're in close quarters, well, there you go. It's always going to be at its ideal range. It does, however, only have 3 shots before you need to reload it, but if you're a decent shot, that means potentially 3 kills with your backup weapon. Plus, you don't really need any attachments for this either, so you don't have to join into a bot round and grind out kills. Just slap it on and it's good to go. Now, sure, I'll probably still keep my G57 sidearm for some of my loadouts, as I've literally gotten quad kills with that pistol. It's so insanely good, but the Super 500 is honestly giving it a run for its money. If you like shotguns, this is probably going to be your sidearm of choice. Then there's the AC9 SMG, unlocked early at rank 10 on the Battle Pass. This thing is extremely good, but it does require a few unlocks before it falls into place. Also, it's an SMG that can take a little while to figure out what's the best way to use it. I personally like to run with the Arcom Tactical Muzzle Brake to help push out its range a bit further by controlling that recoil. Then I use the Light Grip to improve the accuracy while ADSing, and the Close Combat Extended Mags to get 40 rounds in the gun. And I didn't quite understand the total benefits of this SMG at first, but once you start to think of it as sort of a close range pocket assault rifle, then it starts to make way more sense. It has insanely fast TTK and rate of fire, but can be aimed for incredible medium range damage. Sure, you could make an argument that the K30 is a better hipfire CQB weapon, but the AC9 is far more versatile while still being insane in close quarters. It's honestly hard not to love this gun. Plus, it just looks really cool. Now, I did cover the SPH Explosive Launcher briefly in my Season 4 review, but I'll go over it again as I've had some more time to play around with it. This gadget is definitely a stylistic choice, as you need to give up your assault class's C5 to use it, but the blast radius and one-shot potential makes it extremely effective, particularly when used from above your target. So using this with, say, McKay on a map with a lot of verticality becomes a real problem for your opponents. It's a good gadget to swap to when you're not finding a lot of vehicle resistance that you might need your C5 for. Now lastly, the new CAV Brawler Armored Transport is an extremely dangerous vehicle in the right hands. Firstly, it's just a very tanky ground vehicle, with 2 hatches on the back for dedicated reppers, armor that resists more damage from C5 and mines, a threat detection system that highlights enemies that damage the vehicle, and it's really fast and has good mobility. It's absolutely terrifying to be on the receiving end of this vehicle. It can show up and obliterate everyone and then get out of there quickly if the resistance becomes too extreme. The driver gets an insane close quarter defense system that shoots out a circle of like air burst grenades around the vehicle, making it not only crazy hard for somebody to get in close to C5 kill you, but it also allows you to drive straight onto points and pretty much obliterate anyone around you. Most vehicles want to put some distance between themselves and a large group of infantry. Not this one. Drive right in, set those off, and watch the kills rack up. Also, the driver doesn't really have access to a traditional primary weapon, so they can actually focus on driving and keeping the vehicle alive rather than returning fire, leaving the main turret and secondary machine gun to the gunners. Now, the primary weapon of this vehicle can be a little underwhelming at times. For taking out infantry, you'll mostly be using the secondary machine gun fire, but you can at least equip it with the 25mm cannon that can fight other armored targets. It's not an ideal choice for fighting tanks, but you can certainly put out some damage. The third seat on this can get a variety of weapons. Annoyingly, my unlock for the incendiary launcher is broken on this vehicle, thanks to DICE and their everlasting fun bugs with 2042's progression, so I may never get access to this weapon. Honestly though, it's probably fine as the starting minigun on this vehicle gives you a fantastic anti-infantry potential, especially at range. This thing is meant to kill infantry and it does that job extremely well. And an interesting thing we discovered while playing was that repairing it from the back seat is actually much slower compared to when you get out to repair. So something to keep in mind that while its repping potential is high, it can be killed even with dedicated reppers in the back seat. Now generally speaking, the weapons in this season mix things up and in most cases set the new meta standard. If you're playing 2042, get these guns, get them upgraded, and just dominate your competition. The Flashpoint map has also been a lot of fun to play on recently. It's certainly not without its flaws, but choke points and chaos can be really fun as well. So it definitely has that going for it. I'd be curious to hear your opinions on the new weapons, or if you have a different loadout set up for any of them. If you missed my Season 4 review, which goes much deeper into my critiques on the new map, check that out here. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.